starting the class tonight. As I said, it's going to be a short class because your exam week is coming up and you must be getting ready for that. And also, we have covered all the contents so far that is required for exam one. So we're good to go so far. And so what I've done is I have posted exam one review for you, and you can find it under the quizzes. So when you go to the quizzes, you will find your exam one and exam two reviews. Okay. I still, I worked on it today a little bit and updated. So if you have already checked it, check it one more time and make sure that you understand it. Now, these are the types of questions you can expect in the exam. Or it says instructor view for me, so it's going to appear something like this to me. But these are the same questions. Now, in order to be successful in the exam one, I highly encourage you to go through the review exam and solve it. Solve it in such a way that you can do it like, without any problem. You can do it very quickly. You can put in the numbers. I mean, when you do it for the first time, it will take time for you to understand and get it right. But then do it again and again, at least 3, 4 times before you start the attempt on your exam. So make sure that you know these types of questions, because the exam is going to be pretty similar to what you see in the review exam. Questions will be different somehow, numbers will be different, but the concepts are going to be the same. Okay. When you go to start attempting your exam, because this is one of the most important exams, and I have enabled lockdown browser on it. When I click on the exam, for example, right here, here are some instructions, and then there is the Excel file. If you click on the Excel file, it will not work before you start your exam, before you start your lockdown browser. Okay, so make sure that you have already installed lockdown browser. If you haven't, it will take you through the instructions, but getting it installed before start attempting the exam would be a good idea. So the Excel file will start working after you are in the lockdown browser. Um, so like, sometimes students, when they're here before starting the exam, they click on the Excel file and it doesn't open. And then they email me, hey, the Excel file is not working. So make sure that you are in the exam. Even then, when you're in the exam, it's lockdown browser. Exam is timed. It's very important. So just in case you get into any technical trouble, something doesn't work, exam gets stuck, and you have to restart it. In that case, it will not give you a second attempt if it has already started your first attempt. In that case, just take a picture. You can use your phone in that case to take a picture and send me details of the problem so that we can work it out, and I give you more time to another attempt to attempt your exam. So those are a few kind of clarifications. Also, I wanted to just take you through a few other things right here. A few questions that you can expect in the exam, even though we have gone through these problems, but a couple of them might be a little bit different. So let me explain those to you right here. Now, in this case, this question, you plan to enroll in college 4 years from now, and you plan to save 6,500 per year beginning immediately. Okay, now here is the thing, beginning immediately. In the previous problems, in most of them that we've talked about, even though I have another video posted previously on this concept, ordinary annuity and annuity due, but just in case you haven't, you forgot that, I wanted to bring this to your notice. So when this is beginning, the payments, the annuity payments begin immediately. That's what we call annuity due. And the formula is slightly different in that case. So we need to take care of that. And I wanted to explain this one to you. And you have to make four deposits, and interest is 5.7%. All right. So how much will you have 4 years from today? That means we need to find the future value of this annuity, right? Because we want to find the value 4 years from today, future value of annuity. Now, bringing that data here, we have number of periods equals to 4. Annual payment is given, that is 6,400. So we're depositing 6,400 each year. The interest rate that we're going to earn is 5.7%. What we need to find is the future value. Using your Excel, we use the same future value formula that we have been using. So we use that in chapter 5 and chapter 6, and we're also going to use that in, chapter 7, and we're also going to use that in chapter 8. So it asks for the rate, which is 5.7%, comma, number of periods, which is 4, and then payment, and that is 6,500. It is asking for the present value, but we don't have any present value to talk about, so that is 0. Now, when you come here, in normal circumstances, which is ordinary annuity, the type is 0, where payments take place at the end of the period. These 6,500 payments take place at the end of the period. That's ordinary annuity. In this case, because it says the payments are taking place immediately, like so, beginning of each year, that means it's the second type, and that is ordinary annuity due. So we have to put a 1 right here, and then it does the correct calculations. So you need to pay attention to this formula. Okay, and that is going to be the future value. Okay, now the number is negative because I have made this number positive, but if I make that payment as negative, I get the future value as a positive number. So anyway, that's one of the things that you need to take care of. If you want to do this using your calculator, for example, if you are good with that, make sure that you reset your calculator so that you don't get into any trouble. Can you see my calculator?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what you need to do in this particular case in calculator, you have, because this is annuity due, and you have to make a little bit changes in your calculator settings. So if you see, here's a button that says BGN, begin, right? But that is the second function of this PMT button. So we need to set our calculator to the begin mode. And what that means is that it plays that same role as we had for the 1 that we used here in Excel, right? It does calculations based on the payments taking place at the beginning of each year. Now, how do we do that? Because this is the second function of the PMT button, I click the second function button and then the PMT, which in this case works as the second function. Okay, and then it asks me to press the set button as well, so that it can set it to the begin mode. But that set button is right here. It is the second function of enter button. So I press second function and then enter, and now the calculator is set to the begin mode. Okay, and you see that BGN appears over here. What that means is that when we do calculations here, it will be doing as if the payments are taking place at the beginning of the period. The rest of the stuff is the same. Now, look at that. When I turn it off and turn it on again, it is still in the begin mode. So what happens is that the begin mode calculations are not that many usually. And if you have, like, following this problem, if you do another problem which is not which is an ordinary annuity, and your calculator is already set because that it is saving the previous settings, then it will be doing the calculations based on the annuity due, while you wanted to do those for ordinary annuity. So when you do another problem, you start another problem, make sure that you reset it so that the begin mode disappears. Okay. Now it's in the begin mode. Let's give it the values. So 4 is the number of periods. So 4, and that is n in my calculator. Remember, when this arrow appears right here with this number, it means that it has registered this value for n. If that arrow does not appear, that means you have typed the value, but it has not registered it yet. Second is 6,500, and that is the payment, 6,500, and that is the PMT. Okay, that is registered. And 5.7 is interest rate, 5.7. I hope you remember when I told you that when you give the interest rate to the calculator, just give it 5.7 instead of 5.7%. So that is I by Y in our calculator, and it's registered right here. The other values, like the present value in Excel, we give it a 0, but here in this case, if you don't give it a value, it takes it as a 0. So we now compute the future value, compute future value, and it gives me the same value as I got in Excel right here. Okay, so that is one of the things that you need to take care of. Any question? All good. Okay. So before we forget, let's reset it. And you see, I turned it off and I turned it on again. That begin mode is still here. So we need to make sure that it disappears. So second function, reset, enter, and now we're good. The BGN sign disappears. So we're good to go now. Now, next question, and this is one of the things that you might be expecting. It's not a difficult thing, but probably like, different cash flows. So you need to take care of that. Calculate the present value assuming an annual discount rate or interest rate of 12%. We have these cash flows in year 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we have different cash flows. Now, this is different from annuity. In case of annuity, we have the same payment, right? Taking place in all those years. In this case, these are different payments. Now, when that is the situation and you do the problem in Excel, what you have to do is that you have to bring all of these values to the present one by one and then add them together. So that is one of the things. You have another formula as well, but we haven't done that yet. We'll do that in a later chapter when we talk about the capital budgeting. But for now, you have to do it one by one, okay? So what I need to do, I listed that right here. The interest rate, which we call the rate, is 12% for this problem. We have these years. So years are 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We have the cash flows. In year 0, we don't have any cash flow, that is 0. In year 1, in year 2, 3, and 4. So these are the accounting cash flows that we get. All right. And so then what we need to do is to find the present values of these cash flows. So we will do that one by one. Now for the 0 cash payment, and it's already taking place at time 0, so that is already 0. We don't have to do anything. But this one has to be discounted for how many years? 82 has to be discounted for 1 year. 200 has to be discounted for 2 years, and this 100 will be discounted for 3 years, and so on, right? So let's do that one by one. Let me use the Excel function equals to, I want to find the present value, okay? And by the way, this one is already 0. So, sorry, 0. This one equals to present value formula. I start the parenthesis. It is asking for the rate. So the rate is the same for all of these cash flows. That's the interest rate. And that is 12%. And because it is the same for all of these calculations, I will press the F4 button so that when I drag the formula left or right, it doesn't change anything. Comma, number of periods. So the number of periods change for each of these cash flows. So for this one, for the first one, the number of periods is 1. For the second one, is going to be 2. And for the third one, is going to be 3. In payment, now remember the payment, what Excel understands from the payment is that that's the annuity payment, which takes place the same payment at equal intervals. In this case, we're talking about a single value. We're discounting this 82 to the present. So payment in this case is 0. However, future value is 82. Okay. And that is what we want to find the present value for. And it's the ordinary annuity type. So you can either type 0 or, just ignore it and close the parenthesis. It gives you the value. It's a negative value. Reason being that the 82 is positive. If you want to make that change, so let's make that future value in the formula as a negative number, and we get it as a positive. So the present value of $82 at 12% discount rate and applied for 1 year, it comes out to be $73. Okay. Now, if I drag this formula to the right, it does all the calculations for the others as well. So, for example, this one, it discounts 300 for 4 years at the same 12% interest rate. Now that I have got the present values of all these individual values, I can sum them up. So equals to sum of all of these values. So we start from times 0 and select all of those, close the parentheses, and I get the total present value for these cash flows. Okay. If you want to use your calculator, I've already reset it. This is going to be slightly different. We have to activate our cash flow register. So here in this case in Excel, if you look at that, we enter these values as our cash flows, right? And we have to do the same thing in our calculator, but that requires slightly different steps. So we have to enter these cash flows. In order to do that, we have to activate the cash flow register. This is the button right here, CF. CF is the cash flow register button. When I click on that, it asks me for cash flow 0. CF0 is equal to, and how much is that? That is already 0. And it has 0 by default right here, but you don't see that arrow right here, which means that it has not assigned the 0 cash flow to the cash flow 0. So if I enter, that arrow appears, which means that cash flow is equal to 0 has been registered. Then you scroll down these arrows, up and down arrows, scroll down, and it asks for the second cash flow, the cash flow 1. And that is, in our case, that is $82. So I enter 82, and you still see that arrow does not appear. So I need to press the enter button so that it is registered. Okay. When I scroll down, it is asking for F01. That means the frequency of those cash flows. And what that means is that if this $82 cash flow is taking place for a few years, like for example, for the next 3 years, the cash flow is $82, then you can give that number of years for which the same cash flow is taking place. In this case, 82 is only once in a row. So that one has already been registered by default. You see that arrow has appeared. But if it is different, you can do that. I would suggest that even if these are like, same values, don't use that frequency. Always keep that frequency at 0 and enter into these values individually. Scroll down, it is asking for cash flow 2, which is 200. So let's enter 200. And I need to press the enter button in order to register it. Scroll down, it is asking for the frequency of the $200. Again, that is 1, already registered. Scroll down. Cash flow 3 is 100. Enter. So that is registered. Scroll down. Frequency is again 1. And the last cash flow is 300. So scroll down to cash flow 4, 300. And enter. And frequency is 1. So just to make sure, you can go back and double check that you have entered these correct values, right? So everything seems to be fine. For example, cash flow 0 is 0. Cash flow 1 is 82. Frequency is 1. Cash flow 2 is 200. Frequency is 1. Cash flow 3 is 100, and frequency is 1. And cash flow 4 is 300, and frequency is 1. So once that is done, so these values have already been registered. What I need to do is to ask it to find the present value. In this case, when you have a cash flow register, the good idea is to use the NPV button instead of the PV button, the net present value button. We'll be talking more about this in a later chapter, but for now, that would be good enough to understand. So I click the compute button and then NPV. So when I do that, it is asking me to enter an interest rate because I haven't given it the interest rate yet. I have only given it the cash flows. So what is the interest rate in this case? That is 12%. So I enter 12 and click the enter button so that it is registered. I scroll down and it says the NPV is still 0. It has not computed, but it is giving me instructions. What I need to do, I need to click the compute button so that it gives me the answer. When I click the compute button, it gives me the NPV as 494.49. And that is the same answer as I got over here. So just in case you want to use your calculator to find the present value of these this stream of cash flows that is not the same amount, you can use your calculator or Excel. So that is how it works. Okay. Now going to the next problem, and you can expect these kinds of problems as well. So let me delete this table right here. So you plan to borrow 47,000 at 7.5% interest rate. Okay, so that is the loan amount, and this is going to be the present value, right? Because you borrow it and you will have it right now. The terms require you amortize the loan with 7 equal end of year payments. So end of year payments means this is an ordinary annuity, right? How much interest would you be paying in year 2? How much interest you would be paying in year 2? So here is the year 2, if you see. And if we complete this table, the interest amount in year 2 would be right here. But for that, I need to complete the table first. Okay. And for the table, I need to find the payment. So I first record the values. The loan is 47,000. Number of periods are 7. Interest rate is 7.5%. So let me calculate the payment. In year 0, of course, we don't make any payments, so the payment is 0. Interest would be 0. Principal would be 0. And our balance in year 1 would be the total balance that we have borrowed, that is 47,000. In year 1, we will be making our first payment. So that would be equal to, I need to calculate this using our PMT function in Excel. It is asking for the rate, which is 7.5%. Number of periods are 7. Present value, we don't have a present value, so that is going to be yeah, so we have a present value, we have borrowed it. So that is going to be 47,000. But let's make that present value as a negative value in our formula so that we get the payment as a positive number. It doesn't make any difference, but it's good to have positive values in the table. And future value in this case is 0. And type is also 0 because this is ordinary annuity. Close it and you get your yearly payment as this amount. In order to do the other ones, for example, so I just make it equal to the previous one and I can drag it down. The payments are going to be the same through the loan period. How much would be the interest in the first year? Interest would be equal to the interest rate. And let me press the F4 button because I will be dragging it to the right and then down so that it doesn't change. The interest rate multiplied by the loan balance. The loan balance right now is 47,000. So my interest amount would be 3,525. How much will be my principal amount? That would be equal to my total payment minus the interest payment, right? And that is how much goes towards the principal. What would be my remaining balance? My remaining balance would be equal to my previous balance minus the money that I paid towards the principal. So that would be the remaining balance. Now, if you select these 3 rows and then drag it down right here, you have the complete table. Right here, you've got a 0. Okay. So that means by year 7, you have paid off everything. Now, we have already done this before. The annuity, like I've got a few videos and we discussed this in one of the classes as well. I just wanted to show you what kind of problems you can expect based on this. So now what is this question? This question says how much interest would you be paying in year 2? So here's year 2, right? Year 2 is this. How much interest would I be paying? I would be paying 3,122. Okay. The question can say, well, how much principal would you be paying in year 2? And I have got that right here. It can say how much balance would you owe at the end of year 2. I have that number as well. Okay. It can ask you, for example, how much interest would you pay in the year 7? So that is 619, right? So anything, any question can be asked based on this table, and you will be answering if you have done the table correctly. Any question here?
No.
All right. Okay. Sounds good. Then let me also show you how to use your calculator. Okay. Now my calculator is off. I can turn it on right here. And let me just show you what happens if you don't reset it. So when I click the cash flow register and I scroll down, you see those values are still there from the previous problem. Those values are still here. So just in case you don't clear it up, it will be doing calculations based on the previously stored values, and you'll be getting a wrong answer even though you're doing everything correctly. So somebody joining the class. Let me see who that is. Okay. So let me reset the calculator first so that I get rid of those things. Now, um, if I click the cash flow register, all these things are zeros now. Okay. So now, um, in order to solve this problem, the first thing I need to calculate is the payment as I did in Excel. Okay. In Excel, I calculated the payment first. So let me use these values and calculate the payment. Okay, so my present value is 47,000. So 47.
Slow down just a little. You are talking a little, you're speaking a little fast.
Okay, all right, I'll slow down. Okay, so I'm going to give it the 47,000 as the present value. So that is a present value, and then 7 is the number of years, so that is n. And 7.5 is the interest rate. So that is I by Y. And then I compute the payment, PMT payment. You see that is the same number that I got over here. Okay. Now, when I have this number already put in the calculator, what I need to do is to activate the amortization function on my calculator. And if you see that is the amortization function is the second function of the PV button, amort, if you can see that. Okay, so I need to click that one. That is the second function. So I click the second function and then the PV button. And then the amortization function is enabled right now. Okay, now you need to give it like two values, P1 and P2. So that P1 and P2 would be the number of year for which you want to have the numbers. Now, in this problem, it is asking me to find the interest rate, how much would be the interest amount in year 2. So what that means is that I need to do the calculations for year 2. So for P1, I give it a value of 2, okay? You see that is not registered yet, so enter, so that it is registered. Scroll down, it again asks for P2, but that is still going to be the same year, which is year 2 in this case. Enter. When that is done, you scroll down and it gives you all the values. So in year 2, your remaining balance would be 35,901. Okay, there seems to
The
be
quiz.
something. There seems to be something wrong right here. It is giving me this way. Oh yeah, that's the year two, right? Here. So in year two, my balance is 35,902. So we're good there. So just in case it asks you to find like, what would be the remaining balance in year two, so you do it in your calculator in that way and it gives you the balance right away. When you scroll it down, it gives you the principal. How much principal would you pay in year two? That is 5,749. So in year two, principal is 5,750. That is rounded off, but that's the same number, right? And if you scroll down, it gives you the interest amount that you would pay in year two. So you've got those numbers. Now, let's say that the question asks you how much, interest would you pay in year five, for example. So when you scroll down, like, you're already here, scroll down, it is asking again for P1 and P2, right? If you don't change it, it will still give you continue to give you the same values. But let me change that P1 and P2 to number 5. So P1 is 5. Okay. Enter, scroll down, and P2 also 5. Enter and scroll down. Now my balance in year 5 would be 15,933. So you go there, 15,933, right? Scroll down. The principal payment in that year would be 7,142.9. Okay, 43 in other words. So fifth year, the principal payment is 7,143, which is the same number. Scroll down, and interest payment in that year would be 1,730. So what that means is that you can use your calculator to do this problem. So it can ask you for any year, or can ask for the balance or interest or principal. So that is how you can attempt it. So that's it. Just a couple of other hints that you can use in your exam to do some of your calculations. But I think that's it for today from my end. And your exam starts tomorrow, right? Let me double check that. Assignments. Yeah, it starts tomorrow. Okay, well, tomorrow means like it starts tonight, and you have got 1 week to do it. You can do it anytime during the week. Make sure that you do the practice exam few times before you start your attempt on the exam. So that's it for now. And if there's any question, please feel free to ask.
Okay, thank you, Professor.
You're welcome.
All right, have a good day. Good luck, everyone.
Thank you,
All
Professor.
right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, and good luck.
Thank you.
May I
Thank
ask one
you.
question, Professor?
Oh, sure, Samir here.
Yes. So, yeah, thank you, by the way, for putting in the practice, the review thing in the quiz. So are the questions going to change? Means I have taken the practice. Would some of the questions be changed if I take it again, or did you?
No, so for the practice question, these are gonna remain the same.
Okay.
These are stationary, so they will not change. You can do it as many times as you want to.
Perfect.
Make sure that you get it right.
Yeah.
Good question. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys, then. Thank you very much. Good night and good luck.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, sir.
All right. You're welcome.